Hey, my ordinary anglers, howdy, howdy. We all for traveling and a traveling. Now we are headed to Pickwick. Yes. Finally, we're gonna get going here. Got the boat back, trailers rewired, got trailer lights. Everything's finally done. That's been worrying me for about this last season and some of this season. So anyway, wow, have we got a show for you. Can you believe it? Dustin Connell, man. Did you see that? Won the Red Crest. Big kudos and congrats to Dustin, man. I remember when he won the BASS on Ross Barnett, and he had some stiff competition on that tournament. That's been several years ago, and I've been following him and Mark Daniels and Jacob Wheeler. They're a pretty fun bunch to watch. Anyway, so you might want to watch them too. Then we get into this. It's just disheartening. I've been following Scott Martin for God knows how many years. Of course, you know I'm a freaking dinosaur. I've been in, as many of you know, I've been fishing since it was Operation Bass, then it was FLW, then it was, the FLW Tour, the Allen Major League Fishing, and all that. And Scott's been very successful. And if you haven't watched his video, I would suggest you watch it. I have a lot of questions. For one, I didn't know that the no information rule was for like a year, I think. But if you watch, Scott Martin has, if you didn't know already know, he was probably going to be disqualified from the Passaquoddy River, and I have a lot of questions about this, because some guy he talked to 7 months ago had a conversation. He asked about adjacent rivers and whatnot, and not about the body of water, according to Scott. And so for some reason he doesn't trust bass. Now I don't know if that stems from the history with J.T. Tompkins and the lie detector test and all that stuff, but this is my opinion, okay? Y'all are entitled to your opinion. I've waited and listened to other people's description of what happened. Scott guy told Scott some information. He gave him some waypoints on Kentucky Lake a while back. Now I get no information. Look, there didn't used to be no information rule till the early 2000s. Okay, you could get a guide. Roland Martin did it. His dad. You could get a guide. You could fly planes. You could do whatever you wanted to do. Talk to everybody. But let me just say this. You guys know it, and I know it too. If someone comes up to you and tells you information 2 or 3 days before an event, does it always happen that that's correct? Huh? No, it's not. So I don't know what to think. I mean, I think information is blown out of proportion. Now, if you have a guide, that's probably a different matter. But I think it's more made of it than anything. But here's the deal: the guy who Scott gave the information, got the information from, called Scott, and is known by one of the three involved that protested Scott. Two anglers put it on paper. Another one who apparently didn't want his name involved but chimed in didn't do that. So that bothers me. And what other bothers me is, why would Scott not trust a polygraph from BASS? So Scott did the next best thing in my mind. He went and got an independent polygrapher from the Florida criminal justice system, paid money out of his pocket to do it, and he passed it. He had the polygraph examiner had the same information that BASS polygraph examiner would have had. So in my mind, the question is, why didn't Scott trust BASS? That's the first thing. And then information from 7 months ago. Look, I don't know what you can get. You can go online. He could get a satellite picture of that area and see all the water. So to me, it's not. I'm like, what is it? How is he gaining a competitive edge? You know, you can go on Google Earth and get satellite footage of the whole area. So I think it's much to do about nothing. I think, from the Okeechobee tournament where he was disqualified, okay, but there in my mind again, what does Scott Martin need to know about his home lake on Okeechobee? I don't think there's anything you can tell him that he doesn't already know about his home lake. So I'm sure someone, and then you got people that just come up to you out of nowhere, start telling you stuff, and you got to tell them, look, it's no information, I can't talk to you, you can't, and then you get all kinds of things, pushback. Sometimes people want to tell you stuff, and but anyway, very, very interesting deal. Now everybody, and I'll tell you another thing. Have you ever been to work, someone either write you up or tell on you or whatever, and you get called in, and the supervisor says so and so and such reported that you did such and such and so and so, and you're like, okay, who was it? Well, we can't tell you that. Well, I really have a problem with that, because you're being accused and you don't even know who they are, and you don't know what the situation is, so you're left out in limbo, and no one's going to tell you who it is. It's like BASS isn't going to tell who the people are that protested. Well, that's a crock to me, in the same sense as the other thing. I should be able to know who my accusers are. Even says that in the good old Bible. So that part I can't stand either. And I'm sure some of you people have had the same situation where someone tells on you about something, but you don't know who it is and what the circumstances was, or how many days ago it was, or whatever, So I don't know. I'm just an ordinary angler, just trying to enjoy fishing like everybody else. I just don't know. But we're on the road. We're headed headed toward Pickwick. And hopefully we're going to learn how to use some forward-facing sonar finally, and hopefully get some decent fish. The lake is up now. 414 at Pickwick is summer pool, and it's going to be, they're holding it right now at 416, and it looks like it's going to hold through the tournament day Saturday. And so we'll get on the water today, this evening, after I check into the room, and then we'll run down and get a little 4 or 5 hours before it gets dark, and we'll have some film of that. And anyhow, like and subscribe, make some comments. I'm interested to see what your opinion of Scott Martin. I've followed, like I told you, I've followed him for a long time. I'll tell you a quick story before we sign off here. We went down to the FLW Cup in Arkansas several years back, and at, I believe it was Lake Hamilton, Lake Hamilton, Hot Springs, Arkansas, where we stayed. And I will say this: Scott Martin is a class act. There was a junior tournament there with, looked like 9 to 12-year-olds. They all had their little jerseys on. They were fishing there too at the junior championship, and Scott went over to them. They were sitting right below us. There was about 20 of them, maybe a little more, and he signed autographs and he talked to them, and he took a lot of time out. He took a lot of his time out giving them time, which to me is he's a class act. He's a great representative for our sport, and the fact that he's leaving the elites is sad. It's sad. It's sad for fishing. He has like 100,000 followers. I mean, he has a very big group that watches his videos, and I'm one of them. I watch all of his videos. They're enjoyable. Only a lot of times they're long, but they're enjoyable. And he has the persona to do that sort of stuff, just like his dad did. You know, we used to grow up watching Roland Martin outdoors, you know, on Saturdays, and we thought that was the stuff. Well, now it's, you know, everybody's got their channel. Like I got my channel. Scott's got Scott Martin Challenge and SMC, and he has done quite well for himself, and kudos to him. But he's his own person. He's not his dad. So, you know, anyway, he really wanted to, I just feel bad because he really wanted to win the Classic for his dad. And now he's resigned himself to doing other things and not fishing as an elite angler. But to me, he'll always be an elite angler. And I'm going to tell you right now, I've had this ring on my hand for 30 to 40 years now. I'm a life member of BASS. So, BASS, I don't know where it's going. Because, you know, when Ray Scott died, I think there were a lot of changes. I don't necessarily know if they were good changes, but I don't know that we really have people who fish or in charge anymore, other than the business aspect of it. And you know, Bass Masters Classic, you know, they need to make it closer to where weigh-in is. When they do the weigh-in, they need to shorten it up a little bit. They need to, you know, when Dave Mercer's talking to the anglers when they're weighing in. I don't need to hear two other commentators like ESPN talk over them when we want to hear what they're saying. So anyhow, those are just a few things that Bass needs to improve on in their classic. So anyhow, this is Mike Patrone, your ordinary angler. Like I said, leave a comment, click the notifications, because there's going to be a lot more videos coming. And I hope you are on the water, and I hope we got some new different lures